All right, so in all this talk about, the U.S. wanting to annex Canada, I guess they also want to annex Greenland. I think for like a long time, ever since World War II, the government of Denmark has allowed the U.S. to put a base and troops within Greenland for security purposes or whatever. I'm not exactly certain what the deal is. It's more than likely security and training and stuff like that. Standard stuff that the Americans have done throughout the time during World War II and after the Marshall Plan, setting up of NATO. Standard stuff there. But now they want to annex Greenland, saying that, I don't know, they're ungrateful or some shit. Well, I mean, that's like one of the things that JD Vance is going for, because like we're doing like Pax Americana, like 1880s like colonial imperialism shit. Because again, the right wing are a bunch of just dumb fuck larpers. Anyway, incredible. JD Vance rails against Denmark from Greenland. He is in Greenland right now. Our message to Denmark is very simple. You have not done a good job by the people of Greenland. Is that what the people of Greenland are saying? Somehow I don't think that's the case.
Safe. And one of the things I heard was, well, what about the many Danes who lost their lives in the war on terror fighting alongside the United States? Well, look, we obviously...
How many Danish people died in the war in Iraq? How many Danish troops died? How many Danish troops died in Afghanistan? 43. 43 casualties from Denmark. That's casualties. That doesn't mean KIA necessarily. That can also mean injuries. So that's 43 KIA, potentially. But more than likely, a bunch got injured and some got killed. I think Greenland actually wants to be autonomous. That is what I also have heard as well from broader polling. And that this is just like, we don't want to be annexed by the U.S.
Honor the sacrifice of our Danish friends in the war on terror 20 years ago, just as, for example, the French honor the sacrifice of Americans in Normandy 80 years ago. But recognizing that there are important security...
Bro, you're in Greenland and you're talking about wanting to annex Greenland? You sure, like, the main, I guess, sort of, like, what is it? It's not owners. I don't think that's the correct term. A protectorate? I don't know if protectorate is also the correct state. They're like, they're a state within Denmark, but it's like a Puerto Rico situation. It's basically like still a colony. And from what I understand, what Greenlanders want, they want to just be fully autonomous on their own and just do their own thing. That's what they want. But,
security partnerships in the past does not mean that we can't have disagreements with allies in the present about how to preserve our shared security for the future. And that's what this is about.
Yeah, but the disagreement here, let's be honest, what's the disagreement here? We want to take one of your sovereign territories away from you, and everyone within the territory and the main sort of representative of that territory is just like, no, we don't want to. Like, I know, like, in the future, because of climate change, Greenland's going to have a much bigger sort of, like, importance within the sort of geopolitical situation because of the new sea lanes that could open up because of the melting ice caps, which is pretty fucking wretched that this is the main way that we're thinking about the results of climate change. But, capitalists got a capitalist. We love capitalism. Very cool and good. And also the sort of like we're just like completely ignoring and not caring about like the wants and desires for as to what Greenlanders sort of wants. But the conservatives got a conservative. We got to do our LARPy like 1880s style colonial imperialism.
There is no amount of bullying, no amount of obfuscating, no amount of confusing the issue.
You're constantly threatening tariffs on the entirety of the European Union, which Denmark is a part of. So, no attempted bullying? Okay.
message to Denmark is very simple. You have not done a good job by the people of Greenland. You have underinvested in the people of Greenland, and you have underinvested in the security architecture.
Isn't Greenland mostly a autonomous region? They mostly just govern themselves because that's what they want. And like Boy Meets Mini said earlier, Greenland wants to be autonomous. They want to be their own state, their own country. Well, I mean, why don't we look this up? Are Greenlanders unsatisfied with Denmark? Is this true? Denmark versus the U.S. What Greenland really wants. What does the BBC have to say about this? Does it want Trump? What's the polling? I just want some polling. Strained ties with the Danes. One poll of Greenlanders suggested only 6% of Greenlanders want their country to become a part of the U.S., with 9% undecided and 85% against. All right, that's a pretty strict repudiation of that. What's the population of Greenland? I don't think it's very high, right? 56,000 people, right? So there's that, I suppose. Where does Denmark come into this? String revelations. Serious wrongs against. They have strained ties with the Danes, but they don't want to be a part of the U.S. Small group demanded compensation. Nothing about the approval with Greenland. Mostly about how they don't want to join the U.S. So, no polling there. It seems like. I guess that question was never asked. But that's one poll. I guess there's only been one poll run about this, because why the fuck would you want to keep looking into that so much, but whatever. Opinion polls in recent years indicate a fairly consistent pattern, with around 2/3 of Greenland's population saying that they want to be independent, so about 67.7% say they want to be independent. Cool. Ingredients for independence. How Trump proposes for Greenland when he first floated the idea in 2019. It would essentially be a large real estate deal. But it's not very popular. Okay. Welfare factor. Trump's tactics in the case for the U.S. Question is, would benefit from rising cooperation? To what extent? Greenland's national project. Not really anything. Honestly, Greenlanders are probably thinking, get this military base off our land. Maybe. I think, I don't know if they really care about that all that much. Maybe they're thinking that. Who the fuck knows, to be honest. Maybe they don't really care all that much. They're probably more so thinking, we don't want to be annexed by the U.S. and have, like, hotels or whatever the fuck in our land, because we don't want to deal with the U.S.'s unstable, fucking idiotic bullshit, I think. They want their own independence, to be honest. Whether they have, like, a referendum and then they decide to kick the base out, that's, well, up to them, right? But we don't really know. Doesn't seem to be much polling into that.
Of this incredible, beautiful landmass filled with incredible people. That has to change.
Well, apparently only 6% approve of whatever you're saying, so, I don't think you really got much going for you there, JD Vance. Reporter, the president said today, we have to have Greenland. By being here today, are you conveying that message? We can't just ignore the president's desires. The president's desires. This island is not safe.
And the president said today that we have to have Greenland. By being here today...
I know that the Russians are trying to make a bid. Like, they're trying to court Greenland more. Because, again, it's all about those sea lanes, right? That's through the Arctic as the ice melts. And also, like, Greenland is very rich in a lot of, like, natural resources.
Are you also conveying that message that the U.S. is very serious in its desire to acquire Greenland?
Well, the president said we have to have Greenland, and I think that we do have to be more serious about the security of Greenland. We can't just ignore this place. We can't just ignore the president's desires, but most importantly, we can't ignore what I said earlier, which is the Russian and Chinese encroachment in Greenland.
So what he's saying here is not untrue. There is more, like, influence of Russian and Chinese money going into Greenland because, again, like I said before, they want the sea lanes for when the ice starts to melt and those become available. They want control of that first and foremost, which is why it's becoming more of a sort of geopolitical, sort of strategic asset to want to court Greenland. It's all foreign policy. It's all geopolitics shit that's going on here. Again, trade lanes, sea lanes, you know, whatever. And also, it's a place to place weapon systems as well, right? Like, it's much easier to send, like, ICBMs over the North Pole and, like, strike at targets. And, you know, the closer you get to it, the easier it is to do that. Shit like that.
We have to do more. Now, what the president said in his State of the Union...
And yeah, the reason why, like, people didn't really care about this as much in, say, like, the Cold War is because, like, the sort of, like, idea that, like, the sea lanes, the ice caps up in, like, Greenland were to melt because of climate change. That wasn't really public information. Maybe some, like, the Soviet Union and the United States knew about that. I doubt it. Because, like, during the 70s, like, which like fossil fuel company knew that humans were the main cause of climate change? It was not Shell. It was ExxonMobil, right? Exxon knew about the effects of climate change in the 70s. So they probably knew about, like, the potential strategic asset that Greenland could eventually become. But, like, otherwise, not really. Like, no one really cared, to be honest. Because it just didn't matter as much. It's just like, I mean, it's mostly like a frozen wasteland, and there's natural resources up there, sure. But otherwise, there's not a lot up there.
Address, and he was very clear about this, is...
And I mean, if anyone, like, encroached Greenland, like the Soviets were to try to go encroach Greenland, guess what? Article 5 gets triggered because Denmark's a part of NATO at that point, right? So, I probably don't want to do that.
We respect the self-determination of the people of Greenland, but my argument again to them is I think that you'd be a lot better coming under the United States security umbrella than you have been under Denmark's security umbrella. Because what Denmark's security umbrella has meant is effectively they've passed it all off to brave Americans and hoped that we would pick up the tab. We're simply saying to the...
it's not how that works. Denmark in World War II said that for their own security purposes, because at that point in time, the main part of their country was occupied by the Nazis. So they said to the Americans, you can set up a base in Greenland. So, and this is wrong. That's why the military base is there to begin with. And, you know, then the Cold War started. So then they just kept the base there just in case. But, you know, no, this is not true.
The people of Greenland, when the president says we've got to have Greenland, he's saying this island is not safe. A lot of people are interested in it. A lot of people are making a play. We know that America cares about the security of this island.
Again, like I said before, security has a role to play into this. No, it's more about resource extraction because Greenland has natural resources. Because, again, Trump thinks like it's 1880 for whatever fucking reason, and it's about the sea lanes because of climate change. That's what it's really about. He's obfuscating.
For the sake of the people of Greenland, but also for the sake of the national security interests of the United States of America. So our message is very simple. Yes, the people of Greenland are going to have self-determination. We hope that they choose
by letting us, you know, further occupy their country. Yeah. Self-determination. Sure, yeah.
Choose to partner with the United States because we're the only nation on earth that will respect their sovereignty and respect their security, because their security is very much our security, as these brave Americans show.
So, babble. It's just babble. Oh yeah, we hope that the Greenlanders choose to have choose us to be a part of their security umbrella. You are talking from a base, a U.S. base that's established in Greenland right now. So, like, are they not cooperating with you, or are they cooperating with you? Like, what? Which is it? Like, you're speaking out of both sides of your mouth. Is Denmark not an ally of the U.S. now, or something? They're not cooperating. I'm just a little confused. Like, what's going on? Something seems to be a little off here, you know? But again, has to obfuscate and lie out of both sides of his mouth because, again, Trump thinks it's like the 1880s. We want to just occupy the country. That's what it really is, and they want the sea lanes for themselves. J.D. Vance, the president said clearly he doesn't think that military force is going to be necessary, but he absolutely believes that Greenland is an important part of the security, not just of the U.S., but of the world, and of course, of the people of Greenland too. Have the people of Greenland been asked, like, what they think of this? Like, no? Okay. Probably not.
Yeah.
President has previously not ruled out military force when he's talking about taking over Greenland.
That is
but
true.
Your rhetoric today is...
That is true. In the initial sort of like talk about this, he did say he would want to try to like militarily occupy the country, which would be war against Denmark, because Denmark is currently the main sort of owner, representative of Greenland. Yes, and Article 5 would have to be called on the U.S. That's like he would have to fight against NATO allies, because Greenland's a part of NATO because they're a part of Denmark. But hey, well, you know,
is more about encouraging the Greenlandic people to vote for independence. Do you think the rhetoric has changed about that, or what's your message there?
No, I don't think it's changed at all. Look, the president said clearly he doesn't think that military force is going to be necessary, but he absolutely believes that Greenland is an important part of the security, not just of the United States, but of the world, and of course the people of Greenland too. It's very simple. I think the president's been very consistent here from his State of the Union, from his inaugural address, and
I want to occupy Greenland. It's never been about security. He wants the sea lanes, and I'm pretty sure everyone else understands that. Again, thank you, climate change, making, I guess, new trade routes, basically. I keep saying the same point over and over again. What do people in Greenland want? Even the reporter herself said they want independence from Denmark, and they definitely do not want to be occupied by the U.S., which is so far been pretty consistent. But J.D. Vance doesn't give a fuck about that.
Every public statement that he's made, this territory, Greenland, really matters for the security of the United States. It's extremely vulnerable right now. And if the people of Greenland were willing to partner with the United States, and I think that they ultimately will partner with the United States, we could make them much more secure.
I mean, they're already partnered with the... You are speaking from a U.S. base that's in Greenland, that's been there since, like, the 40s. What are you talking about? What? Okay, dude. But Greenland doesn't want to participate with the security... Like, again, like I said before, he's speaking out of both sides of his mouth, because it's not about national security. It's never been about that. They don't give a shit about that.
We could do a lot more protection, and I think they'd fare a lot better economically as well. This has to happen. And the reason it has to happen, I hate to say it, is because our friends in Denmark have not done their job in keeping this area safe. They just haven't done it. It's very simple for all.
See, again, like, there's really not much else to say about this, because this is all just obfuscation. They're in NATO. They get attacked, Article 5. Then everyone joins in. Whoa. They have the ultimate of, like, ultimate security blankets. Why is he, like, treating, like, Denmark as if it's, like, a sort of separate entity? Like, should Denmark be placing troops in Greenland and placing assets in Greenland or something? Is that like what's being suggested here? Like, I mean, it's complete fucking nonsense. Is that like what's being suggested here? If I were to try to treat this actually seriously for like even 2 seconds? But okay.
All of our friends in the American media who attack the administration for pointing out the obvious, what is the alternative? To give up the North Atlantic? To give up the Arctic to China?
Okay, and yet, like, Trump constantly rails on NATO, and Trump constantly talks about how he wants the U.S. to leave NATO, which would make them actually vulnerable as security-wise. But again, speaking out of both sides of their mouth, or as Boy Meets Mini says, they want to be independent on their own. Like, I'm pretty sure if the Russians or the Chinese were to try to occupy, or like try to do like Belt and Road type bullshit in there, like the Chinese would want to do, economic imperialism, would Greenland be a big fan of that? Probably not. Like, they just want to do their own thing. I mean, it's pretty simple, but the only reason why this is a thing is because, again, Trump, like I said before, he thinks it's like the 1880s and he wants to just do like random imperial conquests. That's it. Like, are there potential security threats coming in from the Russians and the Chinese? Maybe. I don't know what evidence there is of that. I don't think it's like ridiculous to say, but like the idea that there's like something going on is just like, nah. It's all just like geopolitical control. Again, everyone just wants the fucking shipping lane that might open up. That's the whole point of this.
China, to Russia, and to other regimes that don't have the best interest of the American people at heart, we have no other option. We need to take a significant position in Greenland to keep the people here safe, but to keep our own country safe too.
Again, you're speaking from a military base. U.S. military base in Greenland, but okay, that's not significant enough. And what do we have here? I guess that's pretty much our done with J.D. Vance's idiotic nonsense. Trump on sea lanes, their water roadways.
Makes Greenland 100 years ago, less so. But also,
would you like to visit Greenland?
If you notice, also some of those, you could call them roadways. Okay, they're water roadways. But some of those areas are opening up, and they're opening up icebreakers out there. They're opening them, and by just nature, they're opening up, and they're.
Can't say that it's because of climate change, because he doesn't believe in climate change. That's the real reason that these are opening up as sea lanes, but I digress.
Headed right into China, right into Russia, and we have no choice. The answer is he's there with his wonderful wife, Usha. They're there right now. They landed a couple of hours ago, and they will represent us well. But Greenland's very important for peace of the world. Not
6% approve, saying that they do want to be occupied by the U.S. That 6%, like 4,000 people say like, yeah, sure, fuck it, why not? But 68%, so about 2/3 of Greenland, six, not 60, 6. You might be getting a little old there, Boy Meets Mini. You're deaf now. 6% of Greenlanders say they want to be occupied by the U.S. 68% want to have independence, become their own independent state, but, well, you know. No one gives a shit about that, but okay.
The peace of the entire world. And I think Denmark understands it. I think the European Union understands it. And if they don't, we're going to have to explain it to them.
Would you like to?
Yeah, and they said no multiple times, yet you still keep pushing for it. But you're still going to try to be forceful about it. I mean, it should show you. It's just the contempt that these... We've seen this in, like, the leaked chats, right? Leaked chats, remember? We all remember our leaked chats. Discord chat leaked. Fuck. Time to run away. These guys have complete and utter contempt for the European Union. They hate the Europeans, obviously. So, you know, they're just going to, like, say anything to try to justify the position. It doesn't really matter. Blah, blah, blah. Who the fuck cares? I mean, yeah, it's just, like, clown shit. It's all about, like, his mind is stuck in the 1880s. He's obsessed with William McKinley for whatever reason. Thinking about, like, we need we need Greenland because obviously we have to extract the resources for ourselves. Very important, folks. That's what it's all about. It's all about resource extraction, imperialism for the benefit of the U.S. Standard shit like that. That's all that matters to them.